Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Serene Wilkin. Today I'm taking you through a mat Pilates and hip mobility series on the mat first. Then we're moving on to the reformer to apply the principles that we're taking from the mat into the exercises to really help you understand hip mobility. All right, you guys, let's go ahead and get started. Hip mobility has to do with owning the range of motion. It's not about how flexible you are. Mobility is more about stability and not borrowing movement from your lumbar spine. So if you're someone that has lower back issues, the first thing that we look at is hip mobility. Can you internally rotate your hip, externally rotate your hip without compensating using the lumbar spine? That's something that we're going to go over with in the floor work, and that will help you understand if you have an asymmetry on one side versus the other, and maybe a lingering issue that's been hurting in your lower back. All right, you guys. So first position here is going to be what's called a 90-90. You've probably seen people do this all over social media. I'm going to take it really slow today with each of you to help you understand why this is so important. So I've got my front leg here, external hip rotation. I've got my internal hip rotation with my trail leg. Now what I'm trying to do is not just kind of sit and sink into it. I'm trying to actually push my limbs into the floor, almost like I'm going to take off and lift up. So that's the amount of energy you want to think about putting into your legs into a static position, pushing into your mat. Now, what we can do is draw this kickstand of my left arm to the side, and that helps give this hip a little more space. In this series, if that's too easy, you would come more to an upright. Okay, so those are some things to think about. For me, I'm going to stay upright today. I'm thinking of 90 degrees in both knees, pushing down. That's it. So push your knees into the floor. Feel what's happening around your hips. Lengthen your spine. Hold your position. Good. Now the only thing that changes while you keep your activity through both knees, we're taking this into a forward lean to my left knee. Sternum reaches up, lengthen through your rib cage. Pull forward just about 3 or 4 inches until you feel some of your glute on your left side stretching and maybe some low back. So we have the external hip right here on the front, getting this isometric push into the floor, using the outer glute muscles to do that. Okay, so you're trying to own that press, then lift up. Good. Do that one more time. Push into the ground, go up and over, and hold that. Good. And then come back up. So you can repeat that if that feels good for you, just to really help open that side into external hip rotation. Let's look at the trail leg. So I'm going to bring my kickstand to the side. That gives me more space. In case some of you start cramping in that area, it's normal. Let's look at this. If I push through my instep of my right foot to create external hip rotation using my glutes and not compensating my ribs or my back or anything else, it's going to look like a lift of the knee. And I'm going to hold it, which means I've got to own it. I'm going to hold that and squeeze for 5, 4, 3, 2. There's effort. 1. Lower that knee. Now, to go into internal hip rotation without compensation, push through the knee, your ankle lifts. It's a magic trick, right? You have to think about this. Push down, lift the ankle. It might be 2 inches, 3 inches, that's fine. For 5, feel this area. For 4, for 3, 2, and lower. So I'm counting to 5. You can count to 3. It's basically giving you just a little bit of time in that position to feel it. Let's go again. Lift up. Push here, breathe. Think about the instep pushing down, the knee pushing out without you changing your ribs. Lower down. Here comes the ankle. Hold that position, don't change the trunk. And lower back down. All right, you guys, let's go ahead and switch to the other side. So same thing here. If you need more space, you have the option to come right here. If you'd like to see if you can hold this stacked position, this is great. Start to push through both knees. Start to feel that effort first for this side. Start to turn on the muscles that surround the hip, right? Feels really good. Now taking that into the forward stretch, so I've got my sternum reaching up and over my knee. I'll turn to the side so you can see how much of an actual lean I'm doing here. Lifting up, reaching forward, breathing here. Again, you can count to 5 if that works for you. It's mostly about you connecting with what you're doing. So push that knee into the ground right here. Holding that position and then lifting back up. We'll do that again. Reaching forward, holding here, breathing in, gently lifting back up. Good. So for the trail leg, I will turn back to face you. Again, if you want that kickstand to the side, that's fantastic. Or you can come upright like this. Check your angles. Again, both knees push into that mat. Make a little indentation and energy. Let's lift that trail knee. We got 1, 2, 3. Feel it all the way wrapping around. 4 and 5. Lower down and then lift the ankle. 1, 2. Feel this. 3, 4 and 5. Lower down. Again, you can count to 3 if that's a little too long for each of you. It's up to you. But the whole point is not compensating, right? If you're lacking the range of motion, that's an indicator that you're probably not owning a lot of that mobility and taking that effort from somewhere else in our exercises, maybe even in your gait cycle. So definitely some things to think about. Lower that back and down. All right, you guys. Now from here, what we're going to do is transfer into a 4-point position. From the 4-point, we're going to bring our left foot forward. And then what I want you to do is come into a half kneeling position. So most people will say, I'm so tight in my hip flexor, all I want to do is lean forward into these stretches and just hang out, and I really can't gain any more flexibility or mobility. That's because we're not using the back of our body, we're not using our glutes or our hamstrings to own that hip extension. So first things first, we're going to tuck our pelvis. I'm going to start to squeeze my right glute. Now I want to feel that squeeze and stack my body. I can create a little forward lean if necessary, but it should give me enough of this stretch of my quadricep on my right, my hip flexors, that I don't need to do very much, okay? So that's more of you engaging the back of your body to own the stretch in the front and that position. Good, release that, go again. Tuck hips, squeeze for 5, 4, 3, keep the body stacked, 2, 1, release, do it one more time. Tucking here, squeezing the glute for 5, 4, 3, 2, and releasing. Excellent. Now, what we're going to do is basically focus on the same leg I just was trying to increase my hip flexor stretch with. So what I'm going to do is bring that same leg into a circle. And it looks like this. From a 4-point, I'm pushing into hip extension. Now I'm still squeezing that same glute I just found. Out to the side, pull under. Go the other way. Out to the side, push up and under. Opposite, push out and under. Go out, push and in. Do one more like that. Push out and under. Go out, up, and in. Very nice. Now let's go ahead and transfer to the other side, which means the right foot comes forward. Tuck the hips here. Do the same stacking, right? Shoulders and ribs, pelvis, and squeeze that glute for 5, 4. Feel this whole stretch for 3, 2, and release. It's much more effective than just hanging out in a lunge. Hold that for 5, squeeze it for 4. Remember, you're trying to create that muscle to really support you. 2 and 1. We'll do one more together. Tucking here, holding for 5, 4, 3, 2, and releasing. Now when I come into that same quadruped hip circle, okay, I'm still thinking of squeezing the glute out to the side and under. Go the other way, out, push and under. 2, out and under. Don't use the rib cage, don't use the spine. Focus on that tissue around your glute, around your hip. Last one. Very nice. Excellent. Take a rest position here. Big toes together. Push your hips back. Lengthen your arms. Full breath in and a full breath out. Very good. Excellent. Now, if we take that into more of a dynamic movement, this is called a shin box. And what the shin box is going to be doing is still creating some rotation, some effort. And what I want to focus on here is, can I use that effort, internal and external? So I've got more of a collapsed 90-90 My left knee is forward, but I'm bringing my foot to my thigh, and I'm closing in my back leg like this, my ankle next to me. From that position, what I want to think about is, can I push into the ground and then lift up right here, internal, external, use my hands, sit back into it. Do that again. Push up, push hips forward, and then back and down, okay? So now we're really trying to build on those elements of internal and external hip. Good. And now we're just gonna go to the other side, do the same sequence, pushing down to the ground and lift, squeeze, and back down. And just feel that. Push 2 and back. Last one, 3, and then return it. Very nice. Okay. The next element we're going to incorporate for the hip mobility is basically coming into a 4-point. Now I'm facing you just to show you how far my leg is going out. But I'm just gonna bring my right leg to the side. So a lot of us tend to be very tight, not just on the outer part of our hip, but also the inner thigh, which can be very restricting for a lot of movements, right? And kind of pull our femur into rotation. I'm gonna soften my right knee. I'm gonna think about pushing my hips back about 2 inches. And I'm pushing gently, again, with the instep of my foot into the floor. So this is like a tripod stretch. I'm pushing back, I'm holding that position. Deep breath right here, and then forward. Again, you can count to 3 or 5, it's up to you. Release the pressure. Make sure your knee is soft. Push back. And forward. We'll do one more on the same side. Push it back. So these movements and more isometric positions, right, help us before we get into the equipment work, where we're basically asked to do a lot of range of motion, own it, right? So I'll turn to the side to show you, but basically it's the same thing on the other leg. Your foot is here, your instep is gently pushing into that, and you're gonna soften that knee quite a bit, okay? So you're gonna push back, feel that as your instep pushes down. You count to 5. That works great. Pull forward, pause right here, go again. Push. Feels really good on that high inner thigh. We'll go for one more right here. About 5 counts, and then gently release it. Very nice. Good. Now, what I want to do before I jump on the reformer is go back to my 90-90 and give yourself a little bit of a test, right? See how you feel. Did your knee move up higher in external hip rotation? Did your ankle move up higher, right? So come back to the original position, wherever your hand was, okay? Let's go ahead and test it. See how that feels. See the difference now. Like you can actually groove into that external hip rotation, push through that foot. That's about owning that position, right? Lower down and then lifting here. So think of it as like a matter of priming before your movement versus just like passive stretching and focusing all on flexibility, which doesn't actually stick for what we need, okay? And lift. So that's 2. Let's go ahead and look at the other side. Create the same position wherever your hand was, make it consistent. Ooh, feels different for me, very good. And back. So very, very nice to come back to this series, understand where you are for today's workout, right? And lift. All right, you guys, let's go ahead and move on. First position, we're gonna be using a red spring. And what I want you to think about is the element we did in half kneeling. So we did a lot of that tucking of your pelvis to really feel what was going on in the front of the thigh. We're gonna start there today on the reformer. So tucking your hips right here, squeezing your bum. Look for the same amount of like stretch, but owning that mobility, right? Using your glute muscle. Now, the only thing that changes from here is I'm gonna think about putting more effort into my outside foot as well, okay? So yes, there's the back leg that we're focusing on, but got my outer leg here, pushing into the floor. So you're creating more of this tension through the foot into the leg and into the trunk. Hold that for 5, 4, 3, 2, and gently come in. Good. Now from here, I'm leaving my foot placement where it is, I'm drawing my outside leg in line with my shoulder block, and I'm pulling my knee up off that reformer. I've still got it on the shoulder block here. Now what I'm going to do is push into hip extension. Now we own it, right? We feel very different. Squeeze the tail, hold that for 5, 4, 3, 2, and in. Go again. 5, 4, 3, 2, and in. If you want a heavier spring, you can go ahead and do that. I would just basically add a yellow if that's something that you want to do. And in. And last 2, 3, 2, 1. One more time. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Good. Now, I want to really experiment with my external hip rotation, so I'm bringing my foot to the other block. I'm going more into like this little turn out, so my heel's in the middle, toes are kind of out to the side, knee is out, so think of that 90-90 we did with the trail leg. Pushing up, so I'm going to push out. I'm going to hold that position again for 5, 4, 3, 2, and in. You're going to feel this all the way in that high glute area. It's 5, 4, 3, 2, and in. And again, 5, 4, 3, 2, and in. Last 2. This is going to build 5, 4, 3, 2, and in. Helps you with a lot of glute exercises in Pilates. 5, 4, 3, 2, and finally in. Very nice. Draw your leg back. Let's walk over to the other side. We're going to repeat that same series. So first thing, I had my knee on the bed. I had that little tuck going on that we borrowed from the mat, and that squeeze of my rear glute. So again, look for one side versus the other. If it's a little bit easier for you to squeeze, indicator might be more connected on that glute, right, and hip extension. If it's harder, it might be tighter in the front, preventing that hip extension. So things to think about. Here's our hold. Remember, I'm still pushing through the outer part of my left side. Good, and then slowly make my way in. First position is that normal scooter stance. So I've got my foot in line with my shoulder block. I've got my knee off the bed. It's just a 5 count hold, 5 reps. It's a 1, 2, 3, squeeze a glute, 4, and 5, come in. So just notice, again, we're applying the principles. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And again, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Last 2, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, and in. One more time right here. 1, squeeze, 2, 3, 4, and in. Okay, so now I come to the opposite shoulder block. I'm in the externally rotated position like we did in the 90-90. Here we go. It's a push. It's a 1, 2, 3, 4, and in. Think of that squeeze. 1, 2, 3, 4, and in. High hamstring, low glute. Push. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Last 2. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. One more time. 1, 2, good, 3, 4, and finally in. Whew. Okay, great, excellent. So when we're talking about hip extension, those positions and holding that squeeze, super critical. So when we're walking, we can't really extend that hip, or we're running, or we're doing something in that gait cycle, we're gonna borrow a lot of movement rotation in the lumbar. So that's when we get back problems and tightness, because we're not really moving the hip joints properly. Now let's think about here for motions that we're going to be doing facing the end of the reformer. With your spring tension, go with 1 red, 1 blue. That should be plenty. And what I want to think about right here is getting my body into a 4-point. So now I'm taking this into a little bit different work. Here we go. External hip rotation, pushing out, holding that position. And I want you to keep your stacking and really hold that, and then back in. Feels so good. Push out 2. So you're building not just your glute, but your core connection. 1 red, 1 blue is plenty for this exercise. Toes are facing out, heels on the bar. About 3 count hold, and you take that out. 2 more times. Feels really good. Last one here. Amazing. Gently come in. We're gonna switch out that leg, opposite leg, toes face out. Here we go. Push it out strong. Notice if your shoulders start to dip or you start to compensate, right? Feel that glute, do all that work, make that connection. Two more. One more time. And gently make your way in. Amazing. Good, so now you're trying to put the concepts into owning different positions on the reformer, which is really helpful to get those glutes talking. I want you to remove the blue spring. So you just have one red spring. If you want your headrest up or even adding a pillow or a cushion for your head placement, that's okay. We're gonna be on our side. And now focusing on more rotation and engaging our glute, right? Through full range of motion from what we own. Let's go ahead and lay down. Draw our front foot into this top loop right here. So we just did a couple of extension movements, which was really good to help ignite through the glutes after we stretched. Now what we're going to do here is into more of a circular movement. So I'm going to push down and stay long, keep my rib cage pulled up and in, and I'm going to bring my leg forward, and I'm going to lift it up, and I'm going to push through inner thigh and glute. And two. So if the red spring is too heavy, you can always go to a blue. Just go ahead and make that as even as you can. 4. Last one in that direction is 5. Now go the other way. We're going to push into hip extension. Yes, keep that glute engaged. Lift up and forward. Everything's working. 2, 3, 2 more. 4. One more is 5. Amazing. We're going to pause. Now, notice what I'm doing. My top leg is just basically in line with my bottom foot. All I'm going to do is lift the leg, close it straight down on a straight line. Lift the leg, so side glute is working right here. We found it in that 90-90. We're lifting the ankle up. Now we're working, right? Those muscles. One more time right here is 5. Whew. Amazing. Gently come in. Draw your strap back where it lives. We're going to transfer to the other side and do the same series. Transferring here and top loop coming into my foot. All right, so first position, I go all the way long. I'm going into that same circle. So I lift and I push, keeping the distance here of my hip and my rib. Make it all about that glute and that hip mobility. 3, last 2. One more. Rewind it, go the other way, pushing 1. You can hold that shoulder block for stability. 2, 3, 2 more. 4, 1 more. 5. Good, excellent. Now pause, draw that leg in line with your bottom leg. Just lift and lower. It's 1, use your side glutes, push, inner thigh. 2, 3, almost there. Here's 4, push down. One more time is 5, squeezing at the bottom. Beautiful job. Make your way in and off to the side. All right, so let's take a moment right here, regroup for a second. Hip extension, getting the pelvis in the correct position to feel a lot of those movements from the mat onto the reformer. And we can just go ahead and finish the little figure 4 seated position. So I love this one because I get to physically hold my leg, pull nice and tall, just like I did my 90-90, and push my knee down using the side of my glutes, and then leaning forward. So that's another really great way to add a little bit more of that external hip mobility from a seated position. You can fit this in like at work. If you're super tight in your hip area, lift up. Let's do the other side. Same thing here, nice and tall, leaning forward, holding that position. Getting that high hamstring, low glute, start waking up. Thanks so much for joining me for today's workout. I hope you enjoyed the mobility work we did on the mat for the hips, as well as what we applied on the reformer and the concepts and how they're so related to how our hips work with owning that mobility. If you guys have any questions or comments, drop them in the comment box below, and I'll see you next time.